I'd like to call to order the September 20th, 2017 meeting of the Royal Oak Downtown Development Authority. At this point in time, I'd like to open public comment for anybody who may be in the audience for public comment. Mrs. Hennessy.
Good afternoon. Carol Hennessy, 258 East 12 Mile Road, Royal Oak. I just wanted to ask if we're getting anywhere on the crack in the monument. You know?
Thought we had. All right.
Because I think we should get it done if possible before winter
Okay.
comes around. So that would be good.
Okay.
And I just wanted to let you know about a couple things. This year on Veterans Day, which is November 11th, it's on a Saturday, at 11 a.m. we will be having our annual Veterans Day service. At the service, Senator Marty Nolenberg is going to come and present Vietnam pins to any veteran that was in the service from 1955 to 1975. And he will present them with this pin. Apparently there were a lot of Vietnam veterans that did not get this pin. And so we thought, what better chance to do it than at a Veterans Day service, and welcome back our Vietnam veterans again, because they were so mistreated when they came home the first time. And also with that, we're going to have a sort of, it's called a fun run, but a 22 fun run. And the 22 stands for 22 veterans every day that commit suicide. And so we are asking the runners to carry backpacks with 22 items in it, or 22 pounds. And whatever they carry in there, we will be donating either to the VA hospital, to the veterans there, or to the, I guess they call it the Welcome in Closet in Macomb County for veterans. And so you can either bring food, or you can bring toiletries, you can bring decks of cards that are brand new, hand and body lotions, deodorant, anything like that. But they would prefer the smaller sizes if possible. So anyway, that's kind of something new this year that we're going to do. And also the City of Royal Oak with the recruiting office in Madison Heights are the ones putting on the run.
Okay.
And that will start at 9, well, the registration will be at 9, and start off will be at 9:30. And we're not sure of all the details yet about where it's going to start. We're hoping it starts here in front of the monument and possibly end at the VFW, but we're working on that. So I'll have more details for you next month.
How long is the run? Is it a 5K?
We're trying to make it a 5K, but it might end up being a 2.2 because we're trying to go with the 22. So right now I'm not sure. It depends what route we can use. So, but there is going to be a fee, and it's going to be a minimal fee. People under 18 pay $5. People over 18 pay $10 to run in the run. And it's basically for us to count and know how many runners we're going to have. And all that money that we get from that will go to the World War II monument that hopefully someday will be on Woodward. So just wanted to bring you up on what was happening, and if we can get that crack fixed before Veterans Day, that would be perfect. So, and if you need more of a detailed list, I've got a list. And if you can't run, you don't have to. You can walk, or if you just want to donate items, we'd be happy to take the items as well. Okay? Any questions?
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Thank you for organizing all these things. All right. Anybody else out there for public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Let's go to 3 real fast here. Approval of the meeting minutes from August 16, 2017. I know all of you have looked at these. Of course. And Director Safaya,
I'll move approval of the minutes.
moved by Director Safaya,
Support.
support by Director Riley. Any discussion, corrections? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. All right, as long as we have, I know this is a shock to everybody, we're gonna change the order of the agenda here. We're gonna move number 6 up.
They're not here.
No, we're gonna move Burton-Katzman.
Oh,
We're gonna
okay,
move
good.
number 6 up to, right after, well, right now, as a matter of fact, as long as you're here and we're ready to talk, so. Please come up and reintroduce yourselves to everybody.
Okay. Thank you very much. Larry Goss, I'm a partner at Burton-Katzman, and with me is John Pavoni. He's also part of our Burton-Katzman team and a partner on our 600 South Main project. We wanted to provide you with a little bit of an update on the status of things for our project. First of all, generally, things are going really well, I think. We've achieved site plan approval through the Planning Commission with a unanimous vote there. On Monday, we met with the MEDC, and of course, the reason we're meeting with the MEDC is to discuss how they might be able to help overcome the financial gap created by the construction of the parking deck that's integral to our project. A fairly significant lift to try to do that without the city's bonding being involved. So challenging, but we're on it, and to enhance our team, I wanted to let you know that we have brought onto our team Steve Arwood. And if, for those of you that aren't familiar with that name, Steve was the former CEO of the MEDC. He left the MEDC just this year and has started a consulting practice with Miller Canfield. And so he is our Sherpa as we go to the MEDC to talk to them about the maximum benefits that they may be able to contribute to help us with this project. So we're real excited to have Steve on our team. He's going to be here Monday night when we appear before the City Council. That's another update. On Monday, we'll be in front of the council asking for a little bit more time to finish negotiations on the Downtown Development Authority agreement, the reimbursement agreement, as well as the development agreement itself, and negotiations with the MEDC. When we met with the MEDC, we met with Greg Tedder, who's the Executive Vice President, Chief Community Development Officer, and Brittany Hosky, I think is how her name is pronounced. She's the local community analyst. They generally were very receptive to the project. They understand how this project can help redevelop an underperforming asset in the heart of a very vibrant downtown, can continue the fabric of the retail and walkability of the city. So they were definitely on board with understanding why this project should be considered by the MEDC as a project worth investing in or participating in. They did left us with a comment that was interesting that I thought I'd share with you. They said, and this is a quote, "They will love it as much as the city loves it." So in a sense, I'm sure many of you have worked with the MEDC, but they'll believe in the project as much as you show that you'll believe in the project. And to that extent, they did say that the outline of the deal that we discussed with them, which again is not completely negotiated, but under the draft that we were working with, we told them where we were at. They said that the outline of the deal was not as helpful as other communities have been when they come to the MEDC. So I thought I'd just share that with you. That said, they would like to start direct conversations with the city to engage and see if they can't come together with the city to try to eliminate the gap and get the project off the ground. So that was very good. They asked, we provided the pro forma that we had provided to the subcommittee, and they appreciated that, and they're going to put it into their own little financial models and study that a little bit. But nevertheless, they thought that on the face of it, the project was worthy of the MEDC participation, which is fantastic, because if they had said no, basically the project was over. So, as I said, we're back in front of the City Commission on the 25th. Hopefully they will extend us a bit more time to try and finalize our negotiations. The marketing for the office space, I would have to say, is going very well. We have actually a new group that's entered into the conversation, and again, unfortunately, I can't disclose who that is because of confidentiality, but it would be another exciting major tenant to bring to the city of Royal Oak, who would take the entire building. So that's good. So now we have actually two potential tenants who, subject to all the negotiations and the economics of the rent, et cetera, are very interested in being in your downtown and bringing several hundred employees into the downtown during the daytime hours. And then lastly, we have started negotiations with our lenders for our debt financing. And right now we have Associated Bank, who we've done deals with before, done multi-million-dollar transactions with, have given us a soft letter of commitment, again, subject to all these other negotiations we're in the middle of, but they are interested in providing the debt for the project. So that's a very good sign as well, that we have a commercial lender who's looked at it and likes what they see, wants to be in Royal Oak, and has shown interest. So that's kind of our update for today. Again, hopefully, I guess maybe Tim can update you on the status of the negotiations on the reimbursement agreement. And I answer any questions you might have. I also have a copy, maybe I'll just leave with you, the cover letter to the MEDC. It sort of outlined all of the reasons why we thought the MEDC should participate. You can share that with your board. Thank you.
Stacy. All right. Let's see if we have any questions. We'll call you back on up.
Before Tim goes ahead, do you mind if I bring the rest of the committee up on where we were at with it?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah, so we have discussed this at the committee level, the Business Marketing Committee. As long as Matt's here, we might as well update everybody on this, where we're at.
Just to bring everybody up to speed on where we've been on this project. We met with Mr. Goss and some of the other principals a few different times on this project. You guys may recall the project started out, it was 600 South Main and the 700 South Main properties. Originally, I think there was going to be a hotel involved. The way it stands now, it is only using the 600 South Main property. It is a office building with some retail, some first floor retail, and parking structure. So we've gone a little back and forth on what we were looking for on the committee, and what would be acceptable for us to bring to the table for a reimbursement agreement. So keep in mind, what's before us today is a reimbursement agreement. Okay, this is not a development agreement. That's all going to be before the city. I'm assuming that once whatever happens with this, that helps them with regard to the MEDC, with regard to the city. So basically. And I apologize that I have not been through the reimbursement agreement, so I'm not sure if all this is in there, if there's been changes there or not, but I'll just go with where we were at, and then Tim will let us all know where we are. With the parking, there's currently 188 spots during there, out there right now, okay, between, in that lot. And again, I apologize, I don't know if that includes the triangle lot behind it, or if that's the two lots, or just the 600 lot. So I'm not sure about that. We had asked, they originally said that the office was going to need 240 spots. We had asked that the structure be increased to 428 to include the 188. We wanted that the quote-unquote replacement parking, those 188 spots, would be available 24/7. Okay, so they would be in the structure, but they'd be available to the public 24/7, so that basically the parking would be replaced. All 428 spots would be available approximately after 5 p.m. and during the week and on weekends. So at that point, we would have obviously an increase in parking in that area. We were suggesting a TIF reimbursement, a 80-20 TIF reimbursement, based on tax revenues for the first 10 years, okay, whereupon they would recoup 80 and we would keep 20%. Cap would be 10 years. We also wanted the parking rates to be the same as the city charges, okay, because obviously they would be running the deck. The last thing that we added in there was we wanted a provision added in there to work on a timing / an acceptable construction schedule, okay? Based upon everything else that we've got going in the city, we didn't want the situation where everything is torn up all at once. That's where we were at when we last met. Does that sound about right, Tim?
Well, I guess to walk through the reimbursement agreement simply, as you indicated, the site started out including both parcel at 600 South Main as well as 700 South Main. It has been pared back through the developer's request with the city to just look at 600 South Main. That site, it currently includes about 96,000 square feet of gross building area, with the first floor being retail and the upper floor is about 77,000 square feet being dedicated to office. As you indicated, the parking deck that's proposed would be about 428 spaces. The committee's direction was to replace the lot of the parking spaces that were on the lot with 24/7 public spaces. There's actually about 155 spaces on 600 South Main. I think if you add the two lots together, you're pushing 200, but so with that concept, the reimbursement agreement, if you read through it, it'll indicate that the 155 spots would be available to the general public 24/7, basically. The remainder of the 428 spots, the way it's drafted in the discussion, the developer's tenants would have restricted access to the deck during the week from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. After that time, all those spaces would then be open to the public use as well. Obviously, if the tenants are in there, they're in there. They're not kicked out. They're still part of the public at that point. But the deck itself would not be restricted to not allowing public access in there. On the weekends, all the spaces would be available to the general public. Again, that could include tenants, but they would be fighting for first come, first serve as well as the way it's drafted. In terms of the charging for the public spots, the developer had some concern about the city subsidizing or lowering rates, so they've actually included what their fees would be with some right to escalate those over time. Keep in mind the way this development agreement is currently being structured with the city, they would own and operate the parking deck as well as build it. It would not be a city facility. As you indicated, the agreement talks about an 80-20 split of annual tax increment revenue. Basically, if whatever is generated in TIF revenue off of the project on an annual basis would be split with 80% being reimbursed to the developer for the public improvements, which would include the parking deck in the sense that that deck would now be available for public use, as well as streetscape and other public utilities. So that would go back for those purposes. The DDA would capture the other 20% and use for whatever programs you wanted to. And that period of reimbursement is set at 10 years. It is also somewhat capped at the total public improvement dollars. The way it's drafted, the developer, when the project is finished, would have to submit their total costs and expenses for the public improvement portions, and that would, in and of itself, set a cap. My guess is that's going to be higher than what you'll reimburse over 10 years, but so it's essentially you've got a cap there as well. The construction schedule is really going to be an issue, I think, addressed through the development agreement with the city. The city is technically the property owner. That development agreement would be with the city commission, and as they indicated, they are requesting that the city extend their exclusive period on Monday the 25th for another time period to try and wrap that up. So what you have in front of you is a similar reimbursement agreement that the DDA entered into for 400 North Main, the hotel site, with some tweaks in it because of the public parking components of it. I don't think there's anything else that is a business-related item. The rest are really legalese from the attorneys.
And this is what we're looking at, it's the latest version that's Kurt Russell Weber and yourself have looked through, obviously.
Yeah, with their attorney, Kurt Russell Weber, Brandy Matthew and I have looked through it, drafted it. I gave you the draft version with comments and the strike-throughs in it so you could see the dialogue on it. If there's questions, I'd be happy to address them, but
Tim, real quick.
I think it's pretty consistent with what the committee was looking for.
Yeah, going back between like the 150 and the 155 and the 188, is it then, what, I'm just wondering why I had the 188 so solidly in my notes. Was that including 6 and 700? Is that where that came from?
I'm not positive. It could be. I believe there's, the discussion at the committee was replacing what was on the lot.
Right.
And so in the interim between the meetings, we've actually looked at aerials and counted what's on the lot.
Okay.
So that's where
Okay. And technically, just so I understand, 700 will still stand by itself.
Right.
After this is done, and will be used for parking or whatever else we deem it.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Guys, I'm just looking here at the, and again, I apologize, because I did not go through this earlier. There's a .4 in here where the developer agrees to charge the general public not more than $1 per hour during the hours of 7 to 6 p.m. each day. Flat fee of $5 during the hours. There's a point down here where it says the developer may increase its parking rates annually by an amount equal to greater of 10% over the rate charged during the prior year or the maximum rate charged by the DDA or the city at their parking facilities. I'm going to be cynical on that. If the city holds its parking rate steady for 10 years, you can increase your rates over 50% in that period of time based on that. Because you can keep going up 10% and 10% and 10%. And that's,
Correct.
and that lot, that structure will become a very important structure in the south part of the city. And one of the things that we wanted then in giving that area, that area up, was we wanted to make sure that nobody's gonna go in there and gouge the people who are gonna park there.
Clearly, and that wouldn't be our intent. But, that being said, the deck is about an $11 million cost that normally the city participates in, if not pays for in its entirety. And so-
Which we are in the 80-20 in the TIF.
I understand, but that totals about $2.5 million.
Understand? But
So
that's 2.5 participation.
that's major. I'm not undermining that, but I just kind of want to put it in context.
I understand.
We also, at the moment, have offered to purchase the property at the appraised value that was given to us and allow the DDA to, of course, retain the same value that the property had before we paid for it. You had 155 spaces before we pay $1 million for the land. You'll have 155 spaces after we pay $1 million for the land. So there's another benefit there that offsets the participation of the DDA. Again, we're fine with that. Ultimately, this is a public-private kind of thing, and we have to find a way to pay for that parking deck. And to the extent that, frankly, it probably should be a free market kind of consideration where, we should probably be allowed to charge whatever the market allows. But we're sensitive to the parking issue. We didn't really know how to get around it because, look at it, the way it was proposed originally, if the city decides to offer free parking in the city of Royal Oak, then we would be forced to provide free parking and have no way to pay for the debt service on that parking deck. So we thought we struck a compromise that, frankly, came in at the rate that the city is charging now, which, by the way, is sort of a subsidized rate to your people in Royal Oak. So we're coming in below market, but it does allow us to have a reasonable increase every year, so that at the end of 10 years or 5 years, you know, we're back up to at least some contribution for the debt service of the deck itself. So we didn't want to gouge, we heard you loud and clear, but we do think that a reasonable increase makes sense considering the upfront investment that we're making.
And I guess my issue would come in if the city were to increase its rates back to quote-unquote market value, you still have the ability every year to up that by 10%. And that's, I guess that's where my fear comes in. As you know, after sitting with us, you understand the parking is the utmost importance
We hear you loud-
to the
loud
subcommittee
and clear.
and to the DDA.
Loud and clear.
And-
And maybe that's something we can continue to, you know, discuss on that. I mean, one idea might be that we would follow that methodology for the 155 spaces, but the other spaces are not restricted at that rate, you know, maybe that, because then you still, again, have what you have.
Well, I think we're kind of both on the same page, yet we're both protecting against the opposite ends of the spectrum. You're protecting against the city coming out and saying, okay, everything's free, and now you gotta follow that. I'm protecting against, on behalf of us, against you. We hold the line, but it's a reasonable line. And yes, you can only increase 10% every year, but if you do it 5 years in a row, now all of a sudden, you know, you're in the stratosphere
It
versus.
goes from 50 cents to 75 cents.
Well, no, but.
50 cents an hour now, so
if you're-
after 5 years, we've raised it to 75 cents.
If you're talking 50 cents an hour, if it is 50 cents, if it's $5 a night, okay.
To 7.50 a night after 5 years.
Well, if you keep going up, if it's, but again, if the city were to make a change to say $10 a night, I mean, then you're still, I understand, but it's still.
Bit of a conundrum.
It is.
You know, clearly, we want people to park in the deck because we have a $10 million debt service we have to provide for.
I understand.
And so, if anything, maybe we'll be more competitive than the city to try to attract people into our deck, because having no one park on the deck because we charge too much is going to be counterproductive. And that's where we thought we struck a balance with having a reasonable annual increase. We can, you know, the deal's not struck, obviously, we're still in the midst of negotiation, we're open to some other ideas, but that's kind of where we were coming from on that. We appreciate sincerely where you're coming from on protecting the public, and we sincerely appreciate your financial contribution. It wouldn't be possible without it. But we do have an unusual obstacle in the fact that we have to pay for this deck up front, and that's, I don't know that any other developer has done that lately.
And believe me, we totally understand that, and when we went through the numbers on that.
Yeah, you're being sensitive as well,
Absolutely.
no question. So, anyway, happy to continue that conversation. Maybe there's a better way to skin that cat.
Question. So, Tim, you mentioned that it's 10 years, it's a 10-year reimbursement period, if you will, or there's a cap and that dollar amount determined by the amount of work that the DDA would normally capture.
It's determined by what's defined in the agreement as public improvements.
Okay.
Generally, that's gonna be like the streetscapes around it, the utility work around the site, the parking deck.
Okay.
So you're gonna have a $10 to $11 million potential cost along with the other stuff.
Right.
As Mr. Goss indicated, it's probably gonna generate about $2 to $3 million in reimbursement over 10 years. So you're not gonna get to that public improvement cap.
So you're thinking that it'll term out quicker than the 10 years?
Yeah, well, no, I'm thinking it'll go 10 years. I was just saying, I think you've got two caps there.
Gotcha.
Director Safaya?
Tim, just a matter of technicality here. The DDA doesn't have ownership, so I'm going to assume that this is not going to be what we've dealt with in the past, a three-party agreement. This is going to be the development agreement is going to be a two-party agreement between the city and the developer.
Yes.
The DDA's role in this would simply be this reimbursement agreement.
Right. Very similar to, again, I'll use 400 North Main. Your only role there was a reimbursement agreement with them, with the developer on that site. You didn't own it. You had no involvement in the actual development itself, other than your reimbursement agreement put some parameters on. You wanted the hotel first, and in this case, you want public parking being available.
Right. So the sale of the property that's done through
The city.
the city and as part of the development agreement in terms of their negotiations and everything else. And I just have one question for Mr. Goss, if I could. The meeting on the 25th, that you're asking for the extension, and I understand completely why, and I have no problem with it. What time frame are you,
We've asked for 90 days.
for a 90-day period? Okay. Okay.
And hopefully that'll get us where we need to go. I think that's.
Yeah, thank you. I guess my comments would be that if we have any issues here at the table that still need to be ironed out.
Well, I wanted to get you a draft of where we were at, make sure that there wasn't anything from the committee level that the rest of the board either disagreed with or had other issues you wanted raised. Given their timeline, I think that if you want to wait until your October meeting to formally act on it, I think it'd be fine. I don't think there's any rush to do it before then. So I think you can, obviously I wanted to get something to you. I didn't want to have you have a chance to digest it and review it. So there's no action required today. We'll we'll do some cleanup language on how the reimbursement occurs and things like that too. There are a couple outstanding clarification items, but.
Tim, can I ask two questions? One, because the deck's technically private, although public spaces will be available, there'll be no permits sold, at least through the city, for this parking in this deck. I mean, whether the developer chooses to sell permits or not, it's up to them, I'm sure, but.
Yeah, we haven't, offered, or there's been no request for the city involved in operation of the deck.
And then I assume the last part that was stricken here, B, I assume that's stricken because it just, at least 190 of the parking spaces in the parking deck are made available, et cetera, is simply because how do you enforce it? How do you?
Well, no, the 190 was, I think, going back to the committee's original thought that there was at least 188 in there. That was part of the original draft that was sent to them that would keep it open to the public. And it's been replaced with a lot of clarity in items B1, B2, B3, and B4 as far as how that would work versus that short paragraph.
Still, the question comes is how we're sure that it's open for the general public and not tenants of the building.
Well, they are agreeing to provide, evidence that their obligations are being met and dealt with.
All right.
Well, in light of the fact that there doesn't seem to be any time pressure with this agreement right now, and we did just receive it on Monday because the attorneys were going back and forth, I think it doesn't hurt anybody. In fact, probably helps the clarity of the agreement to go back to the committee level and take a look at it in a little more detail.
Everybody good with that? Okay. All right.
I just have one comment about the parking situation. I'm not sure how you're gonna regulate it, but to me, I see it as a pay station. So you have tenants who get parking permits that would be on their heights or what, I can't remember the word, their rear mirror. And then they would have to pay, but the pay station would be for people, general public, can park anywhere. So in essence, you may have more public parking available, because everyone comes to work every day.
Yes.
I don't think you have to necessarily, it could be 155 people who in the public park there because it's there. Or you're gonna actually have it,
Well,
I see it being more, there's a possibility of it being more flexible, that's what I'm trying to say.
Agreed. We're following the lead of the agreement, that's the intention, so we need to try to make sure that the public does have access to that parking.
I don't know how I'm being very clear, but let's say, just for ease of argument, there was 500 spots, and 100 and whatever it was, 50 is the public's. So you could only issue then 350 to the tenants. But on any given day, maybe only 300 people show up to work, and the other 50 spots are empty. It's to your advantage.
That's
The
true.
public pay and park there.
Yeah.
And the way that, to me, it works is a pay station, not meters or, so every spot has a number, and you don't ticket those that have the permit.
I think that's
It seems
very
pretty
likely
easy in my
how-
head, but I
yeah,
just
very-
can't
Very
articulate
likely
it.
how it'll play out.
Well, and I think the way that it's been drafted is, it allows you that opportunity in terms of the operation. Because it says that the tenant spaces that are not being used could be open to transient use.
That's right.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, so it does allow for them to do that as part of their operation if they recognize that maybe a floor is empty,
Right.
so they don't need it all, they could open it up for public
Exactly.
use. From a guaranteed standpoint, we're guaranteeing that 155 would be open to transient
Right.
use. That's the bare
Least.
bottom.
And the reason I asked for that is that lot today and every day is pretty much filled during the day.
Well, it's a bargain lot. I think it's cheaper than some of the rates closer to downtown.
Regardless.
No, I'm just saying that's why it's
Yeah.
filled. And I do agree with him, let the market play itself. Some people would pay extra to be closer to their work, and some people would want cheaper lots. We'll see how it pans out. We have plenty of lots coming up.
Jay? Did the committee consider asking for a bump, like 10% more of what's there, anything like that?
Of the total numbers?
Of the parking, right now you're matching what's there, right?
Yeah, well, and what our concern was because the parking was such an issue, and such a cost on their end. We wanted to protect what was there, have them replace the parking that was there, knowing full well that in the after hours that we will be gaining. So we thought that was, so no, we did not think to ask for.
The bump
for a
is nearly triple the number of spaces available in the evenings and
Yeah.
weekends.
And just from where we started to where we are now, it's an increase of, I can't remember, 108 spaces from where we started in our conversations.
Way back when.
Way back when, right, yeah,
I
yeah.
think the original deck was slightly smaller.
321.
Yeah.
To 428.
Right, we did increase the deck to accommodate the 155
There's been a lot
spaces.
of back and forth on this.
Yeah.
No, I get
Yeah.
it. So,
No,
I
yeah,
mean,
but yeah,
so
I get what
the
you're
tenants coming in, you're parking them, we're still, parking what's there, and then in the evenings, weekends.
Correct.
We get the bulk of it.
Correct.
Thank you.
Well said. Well, thanks for coming.
See you next time.
Yeah. Okay. I did want to, and at the beginning of the meeting, I forgot to welcome the Assistant City Manager, Corey O'Donnell, who's sitting in for Don Johnson, who's on vacation. Welcome. And, hopefully you can keep up, because we're going to move stuff around.
I'm trying, you're going slow, so I appreciate it.
It's just me.
Just jump in.
Okay, so now we've moved 6 up after 3, now we're gonna move 5 up after 6, the Christmas tree. Let's talk about the Christmas tree as long as Matt and John are here, if you'd like to come up. And we'll tag onto that the Spooktacular.
If anybody has any questions about it, yeah.
Yeah, so the Spooktacular too, so we'll kill 2
What,
birds.
are we on Christmas Street first?
We're on Christmas tree.
You guys are in
If
coordination.
you want me to start, I'll start from the committee standpoint. You've got a PO to purchase a 40-foot Christmas tree with multicolored lights and bulbs on it. That cost, including shipping, is some $13,936. Both the Infrastructure Committee and Consumer Marketing Committee have reviewed that proposal and are recommending the board purchase the tree. There is a resolution there if you wanted to proceed that would authorize its purchase and the allocations of funds from the development fund budget.
If you want this tree, we have to pass this today.
Right.
I make a motion
Get a check tomorrow.
All right, Director
I
Bagley.
make a motion to purchase the tree per the resolution as written.
I have a motion by Director Bagley.
I second it.
I
Real
have a
quick
second by
questions?
Director London. Now discussion.
Yeah, a
Director
couple of
Riley.
real quick questions.
Sure.
Number one, I do like that we're down a couple $1,000s from where we were in August on the tree. Just so I know, the tree, like, it will be colored, because it's
Yes.
multiple colored lights and bulbs, so like, it'll look just like the one that's there.
Gary, why don't you explain how we ended up where we ended up with it?
We ended up where, the tree that's shown will look like the sprays on the lampposts.
Okay, same
Colored
kind of like, pastel-y colored balls.
Lights and multicolored bulbs.
Okay, so, and this is just, so, but it'll look just like this, but with those colors.
Correct.
They wouldn't send me new pictures. That's what they had in stock, but when
Got
I
it.
sent her, she sent back the thing, and I think on what I sent on there for their PO and all that.
Commissioner Baglio, is 40 feet, I mean, is that gonna stand out? I mean, I'm assuming, where were we before when we had like,
I believe it was 28 foot.
no, like when we discussed having like the big tree that could do it all, it wasn't quite 40, was it?
No.
Okay.
It's a 3-story building, we'll be okay with that.
Fortunately. All right, and then, again, we're down to, and Director Johnson, brought up last time, I mean, the price on the tree is phenomenal. But then you get to the point where it's like, man, oh man, the install in the store is worth it, is more
like-
than that. No, I totally understand, and it's a product of the fact that the tree is less expensive. That's,
One thing we learned is really you're paying for the base of the tree, a lot of that money, so it's saying 4 or 5 years there's damage. We don't have to buy the base again, we just buy another top,
got it.
which would be
Okay.
significantly less expensive.
Yeah, the structure on that is the steel and integrity of the steel. It's not gonna go anywhere. So it's the foliage or the fake foliage that's around it, or some LED lights would go out, so the cost would be minimal on that.
Looks good to me. Oh, and last question, are we gonna keep it up? We'll keep it up throughout the season, obviously.
Till I believe the contract is
First
through.
week of January.
Through the 1st of January.
Sometime that
Well,
first
it'll-
week in January.
So not as long as we have the lights up, which is too long anyway in my book, but, through the holiday season.
It's based on the availability of people to take it down, but sometime early January.
Okay. And obviously, we have no clue how long, like, the lights will last or anything like that, I mean.
They're LED lights, and they're sending 10 extra strands, and these are massive strands, and they're sending 10 extra branches on it, so. There's no different than you walking down the street and buying this tree.
Right.
At a local supplier. They're getting it the same place, and they would tack on probably $25,000 to this.
Yeah.
We're going direct to the manufacturer, shipping it right in.
Cool.
No middleman.
No, I see that. I see that.
I want to see what the building department has to say
All
about
right,
it.
I'm good.
All right, so we do have a motion on the table. Do we have any other comments, Director Supply?
Just to be clear on the motion, the resolution and the motion includes the service contract also?
No. No or yes?
No, I think
That's why I wanted to be clear on it.
So you guys gotta come to some contract.
Yeah,
or
no,
something.
this is solely the authorization to acquire the tree.
Okay.
We do have.
Oh, okay, so it says also included in the agenda.
Yeah, you've got
So
a
we're gonna be
separate
doing-
agreement later.
We're gonna be
with it.
doing that separate, okay,
Okay.
I gotcha, okay. I just saw it in the resolution and I thought it was part of it.
Yes, so did I. Okay.
Anybody else with anything about the tree? There's a historic vote here. All right, we got a motion on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right. If you scroll now all the way down to the bottom of your agenda, you'll see a special event permits. They're really there for
Oh,
informational
you
purposes.
still got the,
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
service
All
agreement.
right, let's do the service.
The service agreement, you should look at, there's two of them there. The one that was posted with the original agenda has been modified. At the top of that one, it starts with a commencement date of 12/1/17 with a 3-year term. Scroll past that, and you'll get down to the one that starts with
11/28.
11/28/17 with a 2-year term. That's been modified based on some input and requests for clarification. If the board's comfortable with that service agreement, you could pass a resolution approving the agreement subject to any final revisions of the city attorney and authorize my signature, as well as the funds for the 15,000 to cover the service agreement.
Director Safaya?
Tim, just for clarification, at the infrastructure, I think it was, committee meeting, we had to discuss making this a one-year renewable contract.
It is renewable on an annual basis.
And I guess the question came up, so if we don't want to renew it for year two, is that okay?
You're gonna give 30 days notice prior to the expiration to cancel it.
Yeah, I mean, the gentleman that's doing it, AV7 Productions, he does basically all of our staging. He does everything for Campus Martius Detroit. He does the New Year's Eve D-drop, builds the tower, does all of that other stuff. He's extremely easy to work with. He's doing a ton of stuff for us for Spooktacular.
Okay.
He's very easy to work with and work that out.
I'm
So,
not
yeah, if it's
questioning
a,
any
yeah,
of
you
that.
guys have
What
a
I'm trying to
30-day
do is
prior.
protect the DDA in terms of the fact that, say, we don't like this tree for one reason or another, or it doesn't work in the city or something, and we're not gonna use it, or we're gonna throw it away, I don't know. We don't need a service contract for year two if we're not gonna put it back up.
He built that in there so you guys have a 30-day prior out.
And that's all I was asking.
Okey-doke. Director Riley?
I move to approve the service agreement.
I got a motion to approve the service agreement by Director Riley. I got a second by Director Baglio. I got a
That's
question
all
from
my
Director Gaspar.
caveats that
Yeah,
were.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with the stuff.
Okay, all right.
How do I phrase it?
No, that's okay.
I think Tony has a question.
Caveats.
The motion does include the city attorney's ability to make final revisions, because I agree with you, Director Safai. It's not clear that we can get out of the initial 3-year term. So that language has, even if that's the intent, the language should be clarified to reflect that. Because this could be read, it's 3 years, and then annual renewals, and you can cancel 30 days before the renewal. So I think that has to be cleared up.
Do you agree to that friendly amendment?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
what he said.
And a second, okay.
That's basically what I said.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
what they both said.
Yeah, but he's a lawyer.
You guys played me for these games too long.
All right, with that, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Those against, motion carries. Okay, now,
Don't go anywhere, guys.
now scroll down to the bottom of your, to this. Now, this special event has already been approved, right? This permit?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I guess this is your opportunity, if you have any questions, comments about Spooktacular. It will be different.
I do have one quick comment. I just got off the phone with the new chancellor's assistant from OCC, and they're letting us use their parking deck for free, and they're gonna have security there and man it. So
Okay.
it'll be free parking, additional parking for the event.
Oh,
And she's gonna send over a letter to me as well as to Don Johnson.
oh, very good.
That was a good victory.
Director Riley?
Yeah, I have one comment and one question. Comment is, this looks fantastic. I mean, looks like you guys are taking this thing to the next level. And I'm really anxious to see. We've had a lot of talk about, like with closing the city, the street down on Friday nights and everything. And I know we did it last year on Sunday with Spooktacular, but this is kind of taking it to the next level with stages and everything. And I'm just praying for great weather and that because I think Sunday is the way to go with any kind of street closures of Main Street that we're gonna do for family events, because it just makes all the sense in the world. And I think you guys are hitting the target right with a bullseye. My question is, the residents of the Skylofts who are in the middle of this, because I will get this question, as for egress and ingress while the event is going on, I'm assuming, I don't know if you guys addressed that yet or not.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that we're going through the alley in the back.
That's correct. So all the activity is gonna stop prior to in and out of the garage area, so they can get out and do the
Well,
alleyway.
right there.
Through the alley, okay. And the only thing that I ask, and I ask on behalf of the residents, would be that somebody has got to monitor that alley to make sure nobody parks in the alley. There's, throughout the day, on a normal day, some of the tenants in and around the area will park and block that alley so that no one will get through, which would end up being a nightmare if nobody can get in or out of there. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
I have a couple of questions. When will promotional materials be released, and will you use this event to promote the holiday event for Christmas?
Most definitely on the promotion of the holiday spectacular. We'll probably have some type of booth there, and maybe having some people dressing up as Santa Claus and a couple of different things just to get the vibe going. And as far as the PR, John and I had a long call with a PR company that is working with this event and some other things to bring to the city, which are top secret. And they are starting to trickle these down and work with us and work with local and national media to make it an even better event.
To answer your question, the posters for Spooktacular should be done this week.
Okay, and just to,
And the
you guys do way better at stuff than I could ever dream of, but posters up for the holiday event during Spooktacular would also be really cool.
We'll probably even have a slide on one of the
Oh, cool,
LED walls.
very good.
Director Spia.
I have two questions. One, for the chief, if you don't mind. I did get 2 phone calls regarding the street closures. And there seemed to be a little bit of confusion about when those were gonna take place. And I'm sure it's probably in the special event permit, but I was wondering if you could,
Well, one of the things with this special event, because some of the stuff is still being worked out.
Okay.
that This agreement's gonna be modified to some degree before the event.
okay,
Right now, the street, we don't have any, I think that the last time we're not planning any street closures, is that correct? Prior to the event.
The only, I was gonna call you chief, but
It's fine.
assistant city manager. The only one that when we met with Sergeant Stanton the other day was we were talking about on Third Street between Main and Center. We were gonna do that on a Saturday. And then on Third going to set up the stage, coming back towards just before the alleyway. So people can still get in the alleyway, the parking structure. That's what would happen on Saturday. Everything else would happen early Sunday morning.
So Main Street's open.
Correct.
And-
Until
and
early
this
Sunday
is-
morning.
This is where we're at, because this is still evolving. So right now, I don't see the street closures as being an issue for anyone. It'll be closed down right before the event.
good.
So-
Just to clarify, because I did, one of the phone calls that I did get, there was some discussion, or they had heard that it was 11 o'clock on Saturday night. And there was some
No,
concern about
no,
that.
No.
Okay, so it won't happen until early Sunday morning.
If I can say, the only issue about closing Third between Main and Center is that right now, that's your access coming off Main pretty much to the Center Street deck, because you can't get to the Center Street deck off Second right now, because you can't go left. So that would mean,
What's that?
You can go south on.
Yeah, you can, well, we
No.
would probably do what we did for Arts, Beats, and Eats, is we had them move that in, so you could turn south to get in
all right, so you'll move it in for that.
We'll have that, we'll
Okay.
address that and make sure they have
Yeah,
access.
because as of this morning, it was just north.
Great.
Okay.
One more. Yeah, and I just wanted to check with you. I asked Director Baglow, and he wasn't sure, but he kind of gave me a good answer. How are you making contact with the businesses that do or do not plan to participate?
Well, we did send out one email to everyone, and now we're going out starting this weekend and gonna go basically door to door to see who wants to be involved and what their involvement level is, because we wanna make sure that we create a comprehensive list. So it's on the website, because we're gonna create a website for this event. So
Okay.
not only can see that, as well as when we're gonna do a handout and distribution, so everyone knows that.
Okay. I think it's a great idea because there's still, I don't think that all of the retailers and the restaurants particularly the main streets and the side streets are real clear about the event. So they need to be educated, I guess, you know. And then they can make their decisions at that point whether they are gonna participate or not. But, there's still a lot of questions out there as to what's happening and pedestrian traffic and stuff like
Very
that.
similar to last year, just on a bigger scale.
Well, I think it's gonna be much bigger than last year, and, the biggest challenge is we're still working out some of those details because they're dealing with a national sponsor, and so
Right.
we weren't able to get everything locked down like we normally would before a special event comes out. So those details will hopefully be worked out relatively soon, and we can be able to put that information out.
Good.
Anybody else with any other questions? None? Okay, cool. You guys?
I would think by the end of next week, we'll have the concrete things that they want to do, because they're going to subtly start on October 1 of doing a little bit of trickle things and more the next week and more the next week, so.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, everybody? All right, well, thank you, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, sorry we're late. Somebody sent me a notification that the meeting was at 5.
We would have been early if we were at 5.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Ping pong back up to number 4, expense items, monthly expenses. This is just, there's nothing to take action on here.
I had a quick question on these. On the Kurt Russell, is that a combination of things, or is that just the deck?
I'm gonna say it's a combination of probably the last part of Edkin's stuff, because they had the
Oh,
tri-party
that's right,
agreement.
that's right,
And so it's a combination of stuff.
okay.
We actually approved that, as I recall, last
Yeah,
month.
that's, but that's,
Yeah.
so that was from before, okay,
Right, right.
okay. All right, that's,
Anybody else with any questions here?
nope, that's all I got.
All right. Number 7, committee updates. Mr. Baglio, the Consumer Marketing Committee meeting.
We met a couple of weeks ago at our meeting, and we tightened up basically a couple of the things that you just heard about, the tree contract and Spooktacular. We also reviewed and edited a marketing and retail recruitment proposal from CC Consulting. We eliminated the marketing component of that proposal because we felt that that's already been covered by a couple of other, Sean and the gentlemen that are doing the events this year. So that's been scaled back, and we kicked that back to the Business Marketing Committee to consider. We reviewed social media improvements. We have a new Instagram account. An email sign-up is being added to the downtown website. Also, a sign-up for the newsletter will be on that email sign-up, and Sean's first email came out. And for those who haven't seen it, it's quite informative. It's great. Next month, we will discuss a small account that Sean can use to boost Facebook posts, so we can get better traction from our Facebook. That's basically it. Any questions?
7B, the Infrastructure Joint Committee meeting of September 13th. Director Safaya?
Yep, I'll just read on my agenda here, and then if anybody has any questions. We discussed rolling out a new facade program for 2018 that we're in the process of working on now. We had the ability to update some of our infrastructure members on the ROCC project. We did talk about some of the other items that we were on here tonight was the Christmas tree, and Spooktacular and stuff, so we were updated on that. And, Director Baglio updated us on the holiday light situation for 2018 and 19. And, that was about it.
Our goal is to give English Gardens their walking orders for 2018-19 in January.
Yes.
They're walking orders or they're marching orders?
Yeah.
Walk in, Mark,
I don't think
guess.
they wanna know that they're getting their walking
I wish
orders.
somebody said walking orders.
I guess it's
Actually, to clarify that, our goal is to start it in January and finish it in January.
Oh, yeah.
which I don't see, I mean, we're just kind of updating stuff, so it
No.
shouldn't be a problem.
We got it set.
Anxious to see the new lights this year.
Yeah, as long as everything's going good, we should be in the best position we've ever been in.
All right, 7C, Business Marketing Committee.
Actually, well, we did kind of have a meeting on the 7th. We do have another meeting scheduled soon.
All right.
But yeah, we met on the 7th briefly with the partial committee, and some of the members of the city commission with regard to the city center project and our continuing work on our involvement with that, which we're still working on, and we'll be bringing something to the table pretty soon.
Okay. Any questions? No? All right. Well, that takes us down to the last item on the agenda, 8A, the Downtown Manager Report. Sean.
Good afternoon, everybody. First, I want to apologize for the dissertation that I put at the beginning of my report, but I wanted to give everybody kind of an idea of the state of retail right now. It seems to be like one of the chief issues that are going on in the downtown at the moment. I went to the Retailers Association, and it seemed to be the chief concern was pedestrian traffic, attracting an anchor so that the smaller stores could, at least get some attention to make the downtown more of a destination. So that's definitely one of my priorities moving forward. So I've started producing some marketing materials, and I've already reached out to a few national retailers. So hopefully by one of the committee meetings next month, I should have some sort of update or news to give you guys. I am moving forward on the website updates. Ideation just gave me a proof today of the email sign up. It looks really good, so that should be up and running here pretty soon. As Gary said, I have the newsletter that had gone out, so that is going to be a monthly thing, and I included in the report my schedule for the next year of when I plan to send those out. So if there's anything that you guys do want included in there, you'd prefer to see in there, let me know by the Friday before, and I'll make sure that those are included for the Monday release date. So I sent out the first one. It has some cursory information. I hope to continually improve that. There's obviously a lot going on downtown that I could easily include. So, so moving forward, it'll definitely be an evolving process. I've filtered out the list of available properties throughout the city for lease and for sale, so I now have just a downtown list. So I have that in my own personal database, but I want to get that information onto the website. So we tried to edit it using the WordPress content management system, but Ideation doesn't allow us to go that far in terms of editing the site. So they actually prefer that we pay them to do it for us. So instead, I'm thinking of actually just linking to a PDF or something like that to just make the information available. Social media is actually moving forward successfully. As Gary said, we now have an Instagram account. I've been pretty active on it, so we're getting a lot of engagement. A lot of people are seeing our posts and reacting to it. I've been putting a lot of videos on there. Whenever I catch people playing the pianos downtown, I try to make sure that gets on there. I think, however, moving forward, Gary's right, boosting those posts. Having some sort of budget behind them, we will be able to reach new audiences and new markets. I did include as an addendum to this were the Facebook stats, and I just included a small sample of it because it definitely goes on and on. It even tells me users from which cities are even looking at our pages, so I can tell which residents of which cities are more interested in Royal Oak content over others. So this I wanted to include as kind of to establish a baseline, so if we decide to start boosting anything, I can start comparing those numbers to this to see if they're changing at all. So we can move our direction of our ads and target them in a different community or target them elsewhere or try to expand our trade area that way. So that's what I'll be trying to do within the next month. It's going back to retail attraction a little bit. I think it's important to focus on that, and it's definitely going to help out the businesses that we do have here. but I don't want to focus on that at the expense of our existing businesses, because in many respects, the best businesses you can have in your town are the ones that are already here. So I have comprised a list of things that I'd like to do downtown to help bring some more attention to the retailers that we do have. That includes doing the featured business of the month that I included in the last newsletter. I wanted to move that to a weekly thing. I wanted to bring some candidates to the business marketing committee and have the committee decide which ones would be the best ones for that month, and then I could move forward. I also have a bunch of other ideas that I'd like to take to the committee for them to vet before taking them to the board too. So unless there are any questions, that's basically my report.
Anybody? Good job.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right. All right, so that was the end of our agenda. Does anybody have anything? You know what? Okay, Mrs. Paya,
One quick thing.
one quick thing.
Okay. You know what, I'm gonna throw a motion on the table and then we can discuss as we move by. At the city commission level, at the city commission meeting the other day, they approved and agreed that the DDA should have a member on its task force for the city center park. So that all went well, but I think we need to make a formal motion, and my motion would be to have Chairman Dunstan sit on that committee.
Discussion, just, does everybody, let's bring everybody up to speed on on what's involved in that. The design of the city park, okay? Part of the WROK City Center project. And one of the things is that we're being asked to participate in the park's development. And one of the things that we talked about was having representation on the committee to design the park. And so this is, I mean, I didn't know.
That's my intent of the motion, yes.
They'd come back and said that,
All right.
I didn't realize that they'd come back and said that everything was palatable on that.
All right, well, we have a motion on the table,
I'll second it.
second by Director Krieger. Any discussion?
Do you want to be on the committee?
Yeah, I'm an amphitheater specialist.
Yeah.
So- Yeah. Yeah, I've got some opinions about the park, you know, so. But anyhow, yeah, I think it's, you know, if they're looking for us to help with the funding of the park, then
Absolutely.
then I think we need to have some representation, so.
At least one spot.
All right, anybody, any other on this motion, anything else? Seeing none, call for the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. So before we end this, Michelle, why don't you come up here? Because not all of you have met Michelle, some of you did before the meeting. Go right to the microphone, why don't you? Michelle Evans.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I don't think I met you or you yet. But.
So Michelle will, is Don's choice to replace Amanda as a DDA director here. Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I grew up in Grosse Pointe. I've been living in Royal Oak for the last 4 years since I moved back from law school. So I graduated from law school, went to Duke, and I graduated in 2013. Been practicing for 4 years, feels like 40, and just working at Cardelli Lanphier, which is right across from St. Mary's Church on Lincoln and Lafayette.
So Don's recommendation, Michelle will be on the city commission's agenda on Monday night. So that's great. U of M grad.
Yes.
Duke.
U of M and Duke.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You know.
The collective intelligence of this board is going to climb. So
Exactly. Get the IQ up there.
anyhow,
Make a performance of that, yeah.
well, we're glad to meet you, and we're sure, and this didn't seem too hard, did it?
No, not at all.
Just wait.
Expecting 2 hours.
Oh,
so
no,
it's-
Oh, we'll get, maybe the Christmas lights we can stretch.
Yeah.
out.
That's only when Jason also saw.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just wait till Matt gets going. We have to serve dinner sometimes.
Yeah. Well, great. We hope the city commission will approve you, and we're sure they will. And we look forward to you sitting with us next meeting. I'll figure out a committee for you to sit on,
Okay,
and we'll move forward.
Great.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Well,
Okay. All right, with that, unless anybody has anything else?
I do. I have a question.
Sure.
What do you want us to do with this war memorial? Because
Yeah.
it's really not your responsibility, and you keep getting asked to do something with it. Is there some direction this board wants staff to deal with within the war memorial?
Whose responsibility is it?
I don't know that it falls to anyone in particular, but.
I mean, we were the ones who did all the plantings and everything, and I think that's why it's starting to be perceived that it's our war memorial to handle.
Does anybody have an idea what the cost is to fix the crack? I mean,
I believe it was fixed back when it was moved from its prior location to its current location, and there was a lot of work done, and we go back and look, but some of it was volunteer work.
Yeah, my understanding, I thought Carol had mentioned once, is that the crack was repaired, but probably by not the most skilled person to repair a crack, or persons,
It's
or company. whatever.
volunteer. You get 2 of the 3: speed, cost, quality.
So, I guess Don's not back for another week or so, right? I know he knows about this, and maybe the assistant city manager.
I have no idea about it, so.
You have no idea? All right, so, the direction would be, I don't know,
Find out how much it costs. It's not a big deal. Maybe we just do it.
I totally agree.
you know, maybe what,
Well, I guess without any direction, I'll just ask Don when he gets back, is he doing anything with it, or is he not?
Okay.
Yeah,
you know, and
I
if-
mean, I just didn't want the impression left that
we're not doing it.
staff was doing anything with it, because we're not.
right.
We're not doing anything with it unless directed to do so.
Right.
So why don't we do this? If there is a cost for it, maybe if we can find out that cost before the next infrastructure meeting. Infrastructure meeting can discuss it, and then we can bring it to the full board in October. And hopefully it could get done prior to November 11th, when,
It'd have to be a skilled artisan, like
Yeah, anyways,
what do you even?
I have to go take a look at it again, see just exactly what it
we'll
is.
take some pictures or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
All right, that was all I had. Sorry.
I was gonna move to adjourn.
Oh, you were? You ready? Okay, so we got a motion to adjourn by Director Baglio, we got support by Director Riley. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call.
One,
Oh,
one
I'm
discussion,
sorry.
I'm
One
very
discussion
sorry,
item.
before I forget, I just wanted to let the board know that Channel 7 is gonna interview me tomorrow about my position and the future of downtown Royal Oak. So if there's anything you guys want me to plug, let me know, so.
Right impression.
Yeah, I know.
From now on,
Just keep smiling.
For all interviews to you.
All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Carries. Good night.
We got a meeting.
that?